Trump is gone. Trump is gone. Thank the Lord, Trump is gone.
Ladies and gentlemen, sit back and enjoy
Mega Meeple.
Welcome back. Recording live from what the landscape company that that
Four Seasons landscaping. I mean, I hear it's a popular venue to rent these days. So
yeah, well, hell, there's a strip club like right next to it. So
yeah,
I'll go to that.
Let's
see what might make that happen.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a political commentary for the episode. So here we are again with Tony and Jason, and we are talking about the last pay-per-view for 2020, and for AEW Full Gear. And I got to tell you, I think they ended 2020 on a good note with this one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But
I agree.
And if you heard our last episode, we kind of for All In, we kind of
pooped on it. Is that what you want to say?
Like pooped on it. It's like
spread our cheeks and
it wasn't a glowing review. Let's put it that
right. So, but and I think we said it's not the worst pay-per-view of all time, but it was certainly the worst pay-per-view of AEW's history thus far. Mm-hmm. So, yep. But before we get into that, I want to touch on a few other things that has been announced or soon to be announced. This Tuesday night on the AEW, I think it's on their YouTube channel, they have some information coming out about AEW games.
Yes.
So, are you guys gamers or console gamers?
Of course.
Okay.
I'm not really heavy into it, but I watched the I always watch the media scrums after the pay-per-views, and somebody asked Tony Khan specifically if he could give away anything, and the only thing he could really say is that they're developing more than one type of game. It's not going to be just one AEW game. And the two that he specifically mentioned were one that's closer to like the WWE simulation games that we've got in the past several years, and then another one that is more of a booking simulator where you get to be Tony Khan booking your own Fed. And if they're going to do more than one title and just try to, see what people are interested in, I think that's going to serve them well rather than trying to saddle up to just one idea and hope it hits.
I agree with that. I think that if they're smart, I think it's going to be one for console and one for mobile. Mm-hmm. And I think that, or like Steam or something like that. And I think that the general manager one is perfect for, like something more portable.
Yeah. Yeah. I would not be surprised by that at all. I think it would be, I think that would be a pretty good guess if I were to guess myself. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it's cool that they're trying to do a little bit more than just let's replicate the THQ experience or the EA experience or whatever it is that they're shooting for. Like the idea that they understand that their fan base has a lot of different types of games they would be interested in. I wouldn't be surprised to see some stupid Smash Brothers button mashing type game like the game that WWE released this year, Battlegrounds or whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that from them either, because why not get something for everybody?
Yeah, and I understand Aubrey Edwards, everybody's favorite, well, most people's favorite ref.
There's some people that hate her.
Yeah, there are
some people that she gets a lot of hate because she self promotes. and people don't want their referees to self promote. That's the bottom line. And she's a woman, so like she's a self promoting woman in this industry, and it's like, nope, that's not happening.
Yeah,
but evidently
I have opinions on that, but yeah, her background in games, and then Kenny being the gamer that he is, and they have a lot of other gamers on their roster now, whether they're in storylines fighting over the deaths of arcade cabinets or not.
I think they're all gamers. I think like 4 out of 5 of the wrestlers are some kind of gamer.
Yeah.
You know, like even if you don't, like, you know, the Miz, like I remember him complaining about getting, like, what did he get? Like they get rated him below like Maurice or something like that one year in one of the games. They gave him like a terrible rating, and they all know their ratings.
Yeah.
So like they all know it, like, because they can't do drugs anymore. They can't like hang out and sniff coke off of a hooker's ass anymore. So it's like, you know, they have to play video games. They have to play
those were the
Dictionary,
days.
you know.
They have to do something. Like they're either recording Dungeons and Dragons sessions or playing video games on Twitch streams.
Well, I'm glad that finally Brandon Cutler got his first win after about
Ridiculous.
13, 14 months. So
He's actually up to 2.
Yeah,
he's actually up to 2 now, which is amazing.
So he's
like
2-25.
No, 225 and 2. Now the only people he's beaten are Peter Avalon and Michael Nakazawa. But in the grand scheme of things, those are 2 people he probably should have beaten. So I'm not gonna, you know, I don't know. The records are all gonna reset at the end of the year anyway. So Brandon can be used more in other ways, I think. But I had a lot of fun with the whole. We both suck. Then we're going to become a tag team and suck together. And now we're tired of sucking and we're going to fight until somebody finally wins. And like Justin Roberts as the announcer for that match was one of the funniest things ever. He's like, for the love of God, there will be a winner.
Okay. Well, that was all right. So let's get into the pay-per-view this past weekend. Full Gear. Now, initially they had Cassidy and John Silver as part of the buy-in, and then all of a sudden they switched that to the main card, and they put Deeb and Alyssa Kay on the buy-in. So for anybody who saw that, Serena Deeb, if you remember, I think Serena Deeb won that one. If you remember her from the WWE, she was the bald-headed woman as part of CM Punk's straight edge group or whatever they call themselves.
Yep, she'd been a trainer at WWE. She was let go earlier. Came to AEW, had a banger of a match with Sheeta, and then ended up taking the NWA Women's title off of Thunder Rosa, and now was defending it here against Allison Kay, who's the champion that Rosa took the title off of.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. Allison Kay recently became a free agent. Her NWA contract just ended. So I would not be surprised to see her more in AEW, but we shall see. She's already done her run in Impact. She was Sienna there. So I don't expect her to go back to Impact. I could be wrong, though. The Knockouts division is a better women's division right now than what AEW has. But
which I don't get. Like, how is it still bad after this year?
I don't know.
I don't understand. Like, how I guess this is like a meta commentary, but like, how is, like, I don't know. Like, I mean, I get it. A couple of their, like, Riho is gone, and, you know, Statlander ended up getting hurt. So you have a couple of injuries. Britt Baker got hurt. But, like, I don't know. Like, you know, the tooth match was terrible. And, you know, we'll talk about the match that was on this card. But, like, I mean, it's just been awful.
They bet too much on a few people. Like, they thought, well, we're going to get like 1 or 2 people and they're going to be the stars while everybody else catches up. And then those people got hurt. And then rather than like trying to figure something else out, they just went, well, what you going to do? We're only a year old. It's like, yeah, but you don't have this problem in the other divisions.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. I liked this match. I like Allison Kay. I like Serena Deeb. They did a fine match.
Yeah,
it was
it's
on
solid.
the buy-in because it was an NWA title match. And from what I've heard, the NWA wants their title defended on free TV. They don't want it being charged for, and so that's why there was the swap.
Okay.
So, like, that's why Thunder Rosa went after the AEW women's title rather than the other way around on the last pay-per-view, is because NWA wants theirs defended on YouTube or on free TV. So they were on the buy-in, and I don't think it hurt the show at all. I thought it was really good.
It was fine.
Yeah.
No, I like Serena Deeb. She's fine. Like, she's very, like, she knows what she's doing. She's the exact type of wrestler like Mickie James. You know, like a character, you put her in there. She knows what she's doing. It's not going to be a crap show like with Swole. I'm sorry I'm picking on Swole, but I just think that she's not ready for primetime. I just don't, I think that it's all charisma there. But like, they're the type of wrestlers that WWE just doesn't want to use, because they want the projects and they want like the high upside. Yeah. But it's nice to have somebody who knows what they're freaking doing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Allison Kay is very similar in a lot of ways, in that she's been doing this a long time. She really knows what she's doing. She's been a Knockouts champ. She's been an NWA Women's champ. Like, she's no slouch in the ring. They put on a great match. Like, Serena's already signed with AEW. I don't know if Allison will be. I would not be shocked. Right. I think it would be really good for AEW were she to sign with them. I don't know where she would go in WWE. If she were to try to go there, she'd just kind of get lost in the shuffle, I think. So I think it's mutually beneficial. But yeah, it was for a buy-in match. Like, I've definitely seen worse matches on a buy-in or a pre-show.
Yeah.
Perfectly cromulent match.
And this is the first time I've seen Allison Kay, so I was impressed. So I liked it. And then, so Serena Deeb won that one, and of course, Thunder Rosa came out, and so they dropped the hint that Rosa might be wanting her NWA belt back.
Well, what do you guys think just of the idea of having a whole nother federation just kind of like living on your TV? Is that like, does that muddy the waters? Like, I think on a surface level, I think it's, whatever, who cares? It's just wrestling is wrestling and whatever, but does it muddy the waters? It's like, okay, which title is this and who is now this? And
I think it sort of does in some regards, like you said. Like, right now, the NWA women's title is being defended in matches that are a lot better in most circumstances. The caliber of wrestler who's vying for that is overall better. So it kind of makes the, AEW Women's Championship look like a secondary title, which is not what you want for your own promotion. By the same token, I think AEW, and we can talk about Impact and whether or not there may be future bleed over between those two companies a little later on. I think overall cooperating with each other is not a bad thing. I'd love to see, the whole Forbidden Gate with New Japan be opened, and that actually be a possibility as well. I don't think it ever will be, but I think it's to AEW's benefit to showcase a whole bunch of different things, and they have a national TV show with a venue that all these other feds can benefit from. NWA doesn't have a show right now. Like, there's a show on YouTube, but right now they're kind of like squatting in other people's feds.
Yeah, it absolutely better be like, it's good for good for NWA, it'd be good for New Japan, it'd be good for MLW, it'd be good for all these places. Is it good for AEW?
And that I don't know. I have mixed feelings on it, like you said. Like, I think on the one hand, it raises the caliber of wrestling that's showcased on AEW, which is good. People aren't going to turn the channel on a match like this. But by the same token, like, with all of these stars belonging other places, they could just, walk out at any time legally, like where and never come back. So you're showcasing somebody who viewers may never see again, or they may follow to this other location, especially when people start actually being able to open up again. I mean, MLW is going to be opening up again here very shortly.
Right.
And so a lot of the MLW talent that has been used on Dark is going to be going away from AEW, I would guess. No more Brian Pillman or anything like that. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's too early to tell whether it hurts or not. I think it hurts in some ways. It helps in other ways. I know that they really need to figure out the women's division in general, because right now the best recommendation would be, let's just have the NWA women's title and defend that. And that's terrible, because I think Sheeta is money. Mm-hmm. She just has no one to wrestle.
Right.
Like, no one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think for it's kind of good, because I mean I haven't really watched NWA, so it brings a lot of AEW people over to them, and I'm sure it brings NWA people over to AEW and EIEIO, and but I think for a company, cause, I mean WWE ain't gonna do that. They're too fucking petty to they're still trying to buy talent out from under AEW. So I think it's a noble idea, but for AEW being just a little over a year old, almost a year and a half old now, I think they may be too ambitious. I think they need to focus in-house more on what they're doing and how they could get around all the particularly the women's division of getting around a lot of the people that are on the shelf right now.
So what I most want them to do is start actually having stories with the women, because this match with Sheeta and Nyla was an okay match. Like, there was nothing wrong with the match.
We'll get to that one.
Yeah, there was just literally no story, and there's no stories for any of them. Like, when I'm watching Dynamite and your women's champion is in the crowd cheering on another federation's match, what is going on there? Like, why is she just standing
next
there?
to Austin Gunn?
Like, you can say whatever you want about, like, her English skills. She speaks English fine. She speaks English well enough to be understood. You could let her do promos. You could build storylines. I mean, if you guys can build stupid storylines on BTE, you can come up with an actual storyline in the actual program that people are watching on television. And I just don't understand it. Like, you've got Miro and Kip feuding with the best friends over an arcade cabinet. Is it a kind of dumb story? Yes, but it's a story. Like, give them anything at this point, because it's literally, well, there's a pay-per-view, best defend your title, there's our story.
Right.
I don't know.
Anyway,
all right.
Allison Kay and Serena Deeb was good.
Yeah. Okay.
The next match.
So then we get into the Full Gear proper. And they started with Omega and Hangman Page, so that this is the end of their tournament thing. So, and one of the things I was wondering was, okay, so the whole thing about we were told, my understanding, I could be wrong, is the ratings.
Tom, you're wrong.
I'll kiss my ass. This is my podcast, goddammit. But. My understanding is the whole rating thing is to help. Okay, who's in the running for such and such a title shot, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So and then they have this tournament. Is okay. Well, the winner of this tournament is going to have, instead of having a contract suspended over the ring, they're going to have this tournament type of thing, and whoever wins is going to have a shot. So. What is what is taking more predominance and
the ratings matter, but at this point, like, Cage has the best ratings based on record, but he's already lost to Moxley. They aren't going to have Cage and Moxley again, even though Cage is number one right now. That's mostly so that Taz can bitch that his guy can't get a match on a pay-per-view card.
Okay.
But like, one of the things about the ratings that's really frustrating and not explained very well by them is that the ratings are an indicator of like who's next, but at the same time, like they have to take into account what's already happened and the storylines and who's fighting who. Like Darby has been in the ratings forever, but like he's been more involved in the FTW and TNT scene than he has the world title scene. Mm-hmm. Like honestly, they need to split the TNT and AEW title rankings if they're going to continue with them this way, because it very much muddies the waters about who's fighting for what.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so did you guys grow up with like the old no, right? Well, back in the day, right? The old wrestling magazines. So so then the old wrestling magazines always had the wrestlers rated. You had the wrestlers rated in WWF.
Yep.
And the Intercontinental Champion was always like, this is the number one guy or whatever it is. And then you had the NWA. That's how I learned. I never watched the NWA or AEW. I got it from the magazines.
Yep.
The NWA, the AWA, World Class, all these places would have ratings. And they never meant the goddamn thing. Like, because it didn't matter. Like, so I would see, like, Intercontinental Champion number 1 and, Randy Savage is number 2. And then all of a sudden I'm watching Hogan fight Kamala. It's like, why are you fighting Kamala? He's rated number 17. Yeah. Because you want him to fight Kamala.
Right.
So it's like, I look at the AEW, and like Tony Khan knows all this stuff. Like he grew up with this stuff too. So it's like he sees the ratings as a way to tell like fans who's cool and who to watch for. It doesn't really translate into who is the next contender.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I look at it like that. Like I remember growing up with those things.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we pretty much saw this from the very time. I'm sure. Well, as soon as we saw that Hangman was on one side of the tier and Omega was on the other side, we saw that coming from a mile away.
Yeah, the finals being anything other than Kenny Hangman would have been shocking. Yeah. Especially given who all else was in the tournament. Like, Wardlow had a fine accounting of himself. Jungle Boy looked good. But, like, there was no way that anybody but Kenny and Hangman was getting to the end of this.
Yeah.
And can we say, like, the people in that tournament, like, there were some jabronis.
Yeah.
Like, Joey Janela, really? Like, this is who we're putting up? And, like, it kind of goes to show that the singles division in AEW still needs work. Like, you still need to build that thing up.
Well, I think the biggest problem, in my opinion anyway, is that they started building 2 singles divisions at once. Like, the introduction of the TNT title basically means that they have 2 men's singles divisions because they don't want to treat it like an Intercontinental title.
Right.
They want to treat it like its own thing. So they basically have 2 men's singles divisions and are trying to use the same pool of talent for all of it.
And it's not that deep a pool. Like that's what I'm saying. It's like,
right, exactly.
Like, it's not that because there's so many tag teams, and they're trying. They did the thing with Penta and Ray, and there's Butcher had his own match, but like it's not like you need to really establish these singles guys in order to really give that depth. Like Joey Janela should challenge for nothing. I'm sorry.
And he ended up not because he was
because of the COVID thing. But like there's no way. Or like Colt Cabana should challenge for nothing. Like I respect Colt Cabana, but like, all right, he's not doing anything.
I don't know. I mean, putting him in the first round is fine. Like him getting eliminated in the first round is roughly the equivalent of like all of the King of the Ring tournaments where you have one of the guys against a jabroni
Meeple.
And they move on to the second round.
Yeah.
Like it worked for me from a tournament perspective. Like this wasn't trying to be a G1 climax. This was trying to be a King of the Ring.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I mean, look at the G1 climax. Like, you have these guys up and down that, like, okay, you could win.
Yep.
Like, I don't want to look at it's half of it. It is half the tournament where it's like, okay, you're gonna win. And it goes to the thing we were saying, like, okay, you look at the lady names. This is who's gonna win. But it's like you could do that with every single matchup.
The TNT title was the same way, where we knew it was going to be Cody Archer at the end. Mm-hmm. Like, it was obvious.
But you can look at all the individual matchups. It's like, you're going to win, you're going to win, you're going to win. Like, it just became they haven't built up the singles yet. If they did the same thing with the tag teams, they'd be a question. Who's gonna win, Private Party or Lucha Brothers? I don't know.
Well,
who's gonna win, Butcher the Blade or Santana and Ortiz? I don't know.
You say that, and I think that's one of the biggest problems is that's how they started the tag team division.
Right.
They started it with a tournament, and they started with the Young Bucks being eliminated by the 8th seed in Private Party and surprising everybody.
And that's awesome.
Then they've never run another tournament that was that surprising ever again.
Because the singles it's not believable. Like it was believable about Private Party because they're good. It's not believable that Joey Janela is going to do a goddamn thing.
I think the only match I really enjoyed up to this point was Penta and Ray Phoenix.
I could watch Penta and Phoenix any day of the week and enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean they're kind of like that was designed for that.
Sure. We're gonna get it again this coming Wednesday.
Yep.
I don't know why. Maybe Phoenix is upset that Kingston gave Penta his spot.
Why not? Sure.
Maybe he's still upset he got dropped on his head by his brother. I don't know. I don't know why we're doing it again, but it's Penta and Phoenix, so I'll watch it and I'll be happy.
I'm good, man. Man. You talked about like having story. Not everything needs a story. Sometimes I just want to watch two guys smash each other. That's fine.
Oh,
anyway.
That's the only match that I remember. I can't tell you what happened in any of the other matches.
Well, Kenny's first match, you literally blinked and it was over.
Yeah.
So, which was fine. Which is exactly how it goes. It's exactly how it should go.
As far as the Kenny Hangman match, this may have been okay. I don't know.
It was because you had two people that they worked as a tag team for God knows how long, and they know. So it was like tit for tat, and like the two forces of bumping each other and counteracting and counter the acting, and it seemed like they knew each other so well that one couldn't get really a good heavy offense on the other.
And it may have been my favorite match of the night. I mean, I'm going to say this. Like, I watched that and I went, oh, everybody's going to have a hard time following this. Like, whether it was Don Callis on commentary, which was a fantastic surprise. That was really cool. Yeah. And, like, the match, everybody had a counter for a counter. Hangman didn't go down like a punk. Like, even to the very bitter end, he's fighting the entire time. Kenny's putting the one-winged angel on him. Like, it looked like a real serious match between two real serious contenders. And even though, for me, like, the winner was never in doubt, like, it had to be Omega. I didn't want it to be Omega. But that's how I know that they've done a good job of making me give a shit about Hangman. Is that I wanted Hangman to win, even though I knew Omega was going to, because it makes better story sense.
Right.
So... like, I really enjoyed this match. Like I said, it might have been my match of the night, honestly.
This was one of my favorite singles matches of the year in any Federation. Like, I've been enjoying the hell out of Roman and Jey Uso. Like, it's the only reason I'm watching the Fed now. Yeah. I think they finally figured, okay, let's just let Roman. He's always been a cool guy. There's always been the booking. And now he has better booking. Bam. I'm sold. And, like, this match was, like you said before, the familiarity and like the subtlety, like there's a ton of subtleties of like, okay, I'm gonna block the one-wing angel by like pulling Kenny's hair, like I he just went right for it. It's like, okay, that's in my scouting. And then he just like the athleticism of the counters. Like it wasn't just like we're gonna duck this. I'm gonna like I see this coming, so I'm gonna like matrix this thing out of the way, and then like I'm gonna hit you with my other thing. I'm gonna do these. I just felt like there was so many little subtle things, and this is I guess a criticism of the whole thing. I thought that the pay-per-view as a whole was too long, and I think that every match was a hair too long. Maybe this one was a little bit of an exception because they always go to the outside, which always pads. Like like every match went to the outside, and because I think it was like Adam Page had a powerbomb spot.
Yep.
To the outside, and there were a couple other things that happened. That takes so much time to resolve.
Yep.
So it's like just stay your asses in the ring. Like you don't need that. Like I personally don't think that you like it. Like a match like this. This is not the last time they'll fight. this
No.
is not like
No,
a capper
this is
of like
we're
a huge-
guaranteed down the road that this is going to be a big money main event match.
I would like all the matches on this card were like this was an excellent card overall.
Yes.
But all of them they were building up to other better matches in the future. Like this is not the last time for the Bucks and FTR. This is not the last time for Jericho and MJF. This is not the last time for Kenny and Paige. So they didn't all need to be a freaking half hour.
Yeah, this one was. What's really funny is this one felt a little long, but it was only the fourth longest match on the card.
Unbelievable.
Like
and
it was
still,
right in the middle as far as length goes. Darby, Cody, Bucks, FTR, and Mox Kingston were all longer.
We're all longer.
Yep.
So like, I mean, so I just that would be my only criticism. It's like you didn't need to go outside, and you didn't. There were some things that you could have left in the chamber for the future because you're gonna do this. You're gonna go back to these wells again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really, as opposed to All In, where it's like there was a lot of like stillborn feuds for me.
Yeah.
Here, I feel like I'm watching the future of the company for the next, like the near future of the company.
Yes, I agree.
And so this match was really good, and it wasn't as bad as the other matches in terms of length.
Right.
But the counters and the subtlety, this was. I don't know if it was my match. Let's figure that out at the end. I haven't thought about that yet, but like it was definitely there.
Yeah. I think Hangman proved he belongs at the top.
Absolutely.
Like everybody already knew
he
that.
always had.
Yeah, everybody already knew that, but like this match was a proving ground. He was like an eyelash from being the next guy, and it's gonna pay off down the line. Like I know that Kenny's gonna go on and do his thing, and Hangman is going to be the one who takes him down. And I honestly cannot wait for that to happen. And if that isn't until like next year this time, I can be totally invested in that storyline for that length of time, because it's going to be awesome to watch Hangman just tear his way through everyone on the way back up.
The anxious millennial cowboy. I freaking love that. That is so
I absolutely love him too.
One thing I'm a bit concerned about is they keep pointing to he has a thing of liquor or beer or something in his hand all the time. So I hope that they don't. I mean, if he just wants to like go to the bar, drink, have some laughs, stuff like that. That's cool. But I hope they don't do like a
like the Scott Hall like show up drunk type thing.
Yeah, this whole
Hawk
drunken
falls
thing.
off the Titantron.
So he goes into Alcoholics Anonymous or something.
I don't
and
think so.
Himself.
I don't see that happening. I think they're skirting that line of like because he shows up to his interviews drunk, but he hasn't showed up to the ring drunk yet, and he's been a killer. Like every match is better than the last, so I don't think that they're gonna get there yet.
He put on great matches, like in the tournament. He put on good matches with Colt. He put on a great match with Wardlow. Even more than the cage match with him and with Wardlow and Cody. I think it was Wardlow's best match in AEW so far. Right. So I think they're staying away from it, I think. As far as in the ring goes, and he keeps reassuring, like even when he was in a tag team, he kept reassuring Kenny that he was going to show up to do business when it was time to do business, and as long as he keeps doing that, I won't be worried. We'll see if that stays that way, though.
Yeah, I hope so. But yeah, I mean, it was a good match, and we'll get to it. But it wasn't my match of the night. All right, now we go into Cassidy and John Silver, and what number is Silver now? 4?
Silver's 4.
4.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yes, Silver's 4. Stu is 2. Reynolds is 3. Silver is 4. Angels is 5. And then Preston Vance is 10. And then Anna Jay is 99.
Well, okay. Well, where's 11 to 98?
No idea.
Who knows?
Now,
Who
Anna Jay is 99 because that was Gretzky's number, and she's the great one. That's Brody Lee gave her number, and that's why it's 99.
Yeah, we didn't see Mr. Brody Lee this time. Now, I mean,
so actually, before we talk about this match, I think we got to talk about that Dog Collar match.
Yes,
because it sets the context for why Brody's not there. Like he's selling the Dog Collar match, which I think is really cool. It's really cool on his end that he's selling the Dog Collar match. It drives me absolutely up the wall
that Cody isn't
wrestled the next week and has just moved on to 7 feuds from there. It drives me up the wall.
Same.
It is such bad storytelling that like you're selling me. And like, you know, like, because I heard the AEW podcast, the Unrestricted podcast with Brody. He's just so proud of it.
Oh,
and it's like,
he's,
you know,
is he like listening to him on the podcast? Is he not like one of the coolest people in wrestling?
guy.
Yeah.
Like he absolutely loves this sport, loves it, and
he's good
like,
at it.
It meant so much to him to do a serious match like this,
Right?
Like, and him talking about Greg the Hammer Valentine being there and everything, and how like you know. The match with Valentine and Piper is one of the things that got me into wrestling. Like, I always wanted to do matches like this. I wanted blood feuds. I wanted, you know, big angry matches with dog collars. And, you know, like, he finally got one. And it was a really good match.
Yeah.
It was a really good match. And if they sold the story properly, it was like, okay, both men are broken from this. And, but you know, and like Brody's selling it and it's fine.
Yep.
And I guess because he's a loser, why not? You know, you can play that up. But Cody just like waltzing on. He's like, he did the whole thing with Taz. Now he's doing the whole thing with Darby. And blah, blah, blah. It's like, come on.
I'm back next week. Yay.
Sell your
And now my hair isn't dark anymore.
Yeah. What was he only did the goth look for a week, and then he went back.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So I again, like, so I think the Cody thing, they're still figuring it out. They're still like, you know, he you know, they're trying to tell us he was off for a little while, but like he wasn't really off. He was filming a reality TV show.
Yeah.
They're really open about that. And like he's back and he has a new attitude. No, he doesn't have a new attitude. And he's going to gain some muscle, but he doesn't really look that different. It's like, all right, what do I don't know. Like he's just, we're going to grow the Nightmare family. We're going to have 6,000 people come out and just every single jabroni is just going to fall off a tree. And like, what the hell is going on with Cody? Just like,
so I don't want to skip the Orange Cassidy John Silver match, but the next match after that is Darby and Cody. And if Cody has any more people walking him to the ring, he's going to be No Way Jose.
It's terrible. Or like Adam Rose or something.
Adam Rose
people following him
Adam Rose.
It's absolutely unbelievable how many people. Like, I thought it was excessive when he went to the matches against Nick Aldis and he had like Glacier and like, you know, everybody like following him to the ring. Stuff, and Paige and everybody. And now it's getting like ridiculous. And like,
now they got like, you know, even Brand's coming at you. They're dancing with the fucking.
Like, on the one hand, I'm really glad that specifically Lee Johnson is getting a spot in the roster after the performances he's put in on Dark and everything. I feel like he deserves it. The Gun Club, I don't understand why they have to be at all affiliated with the Nightmare family whatsoever. They're just they could just be their own thing, and Austin Gunn can just be the loudest man in any room he's in. I don't get it. Anyway.
All right.
The whole thing, like Brody's not there. He's selling the dog collar match, and that's awesome.
I was wondering,
and he should never have lost.
They
agreed.
When Dark Order first came on the scene, they were like, I mean, for me, it was like, who are these pack of monkeys running around in their Kevlar stuff or whatever?
Black.
And then I guess when I think what we had discussed before, where when Brody Lee came on, now they're starting to get a seemingly a formidable faction. Stable, whatever you want to call it, and they're a force to reckon with. And then with the stuff that I've seen on BTE, and I'm talking about John Silver, and I mean he's very entertaining. He's one of the more entertaining ones on the Dark Order.
Yeah, he's entertaining.
He's absolutely.
But do you think that the Dark Order is becoming more and more of like a comedy act rather than this force of the dark force to come?
I think one of the things that's made it work, and I've always been into the Super Smash Bros. So like Evil Uno and Stu Grayson are a hell of a tag team. They've always been a hell of a tag team. I was always into that. The Dark Order packaging is a little bit messed up, I will admit. And last year around this time, it was not going so well. They bring in Brody Lee and start like letting the characters have personalities. Like Silver and Reynolds aren't nobody. Like they were a good tag team on the independents. They have a lot of good singles matches behind them as well. Like, nobody that they've put in that, except for maybe Preston Vance and Alan Angels, who I think are newer to the business. Like, none of them haven't been doing this for a while. So it just, I think they embraced the goofball nature of the faction. Like, when they try and play it straight, it's eye rolling. Like I can just roll my eyes at it. Like, this doesn't make any sense. When it's Brody Lee as the father trying to slap around the misbehaving kids and make them do what they're supposed to do, it's very entertaining. Like, if Brody Lee is like the super serious straight man and he's the dad of the Dark Order, trying to keep like the, I drank way too much Diet Mountain Dew John Silver in line.
It's a herd
It's
of
really
cats.
entertaining. So I think that's why it's worked, is they just went, this gimmick is goofy. Let's, just wrestle really well and be goofy.
Okay, so like I remember, and I think we talked about it. There was that 6-man a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was Brody and some Dark Order geeks versus Dustin and like QT and all that kind of stuff. And it was like it was everybody else being like ridiculous, retarded geeks.
Mm-hmm.
And then this guy Brody comes in and just like does Brody things, and then tags out, and then it's just like geekdom and stupidity again. So it's like, I just feel like it, like I think you hit it before, Tom. It's a comedy act at this point, and it has a shelf life. And the shelf life is going to be second match from the top, the piss break, not necessarily the piss break, but like the come down from a hot opener, and it's just like, all right, let's just laugh, and John Silver's going to do his thing, and I just don't feel like this is going to be a serious. Like we open this, guys, by me just shitting on the Dark Order. And I will continue to shit on the Dark Order. It is not a serious faction. For what the Brody needs to still just be on BT, do your thing, but just get away from it and be a serious single star.
I love Brody Lee. I agree. I want Brody Lee to have all of the things in the world. And I don't know that means that he has to distance himself from the Dark Order. I do think that we're going to see it evolve more as... Like, all of the stuff that they did on BTE was all their own shit. Like, they came up with that, and it worked. So it wouldn't be surprising to me if now there's a little bit of, okay, now you guys come up with what the Dark Order is. Because, like, at this point, our ideas kind of sucked. Because the Dark Order, I guess, was Matt and Nick's past idea.
It's just not a serious, like, they take away from the presentation.
Well, they've started not wearing their masks. And I mean, if they start doing it where, somebody joins and they have to wear a mask and they get jumped in and eventually they earn the right to not wear a mask. And then they start, like, you could use it almost like a Young Lion system inside of the organization. And I think that's probably what it should be used for. Like, at this point, I don't know that, like, does John Silver need to still be in the Dark Order? I don't know. It would be really weird to not have Grayson and Uno in the Dark Order. That would be very bizarre. But, like, Brody and Grayson and Uno are like, serious threats. Like, I don't know.
Grayson and Uno are not serious threats. So I know you have such a soft spot for them. They're not serious.
Oh, they put on such fantastic matches, though. And the fatality finisher is incredible. No. Okay, I love Stu Grayson to absolute death.
Yeah, it's great.
He's so good in the ring. And Uno is so entertaining, and his mannerisms, even though he's masked. Okay, so I'm a nerd for the Dark Order, specifically Grayson.
Yeah, you could like them, but they are not a serious threat.
I've loved the Smash Brothers forever, so it's not a shock that I still love them. And I've loved Brody Lee forever, so it's not a shock.
How, like, we have yet to mention Orange Cassidy at all.
Yeah. But I want to mention real quick before we get to the match. Guys, we're almost an hour into the match. We're only on a second match, but I will tell you.
We gotta get this going.
The last thing they had, what was Fighter Fest or something like that? They had like 4 or 5 tag team matches, and this card only has one. So
I was gonna say, once we got to that, we have one tag team match.
But if you want to see another side of Brody Lee, he is. I saw a movie. He's in a movie called Mohawk, and it's. I think it's on Shudder. If you have that, but yeah, I saw the trailer for that. And it was like, that guy looks really familiar, and so I went on IMDb, EIEIO, whatever they call it, and looked up the name. It's like, oh yeah, okay, that's Brody Lee on doing a little bit of acting in a movie. So all right, who did John Silver hit? Oh, Cassidy, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Cassidy Silver. So this was. People like Orange Cassidy. He needs a match on the pay-per-view. We just had him go over Chris Jericho, after all. Who's somebody who's been doing a really good job lately? John Silver's working hard. Let's let him fight Orange Cassidy. That's what this match was.
Yep.
And I liked this match. It wasn't a very long match. It's definitely the shortest match on the card. It's even shorter than the buy-in match. It was, let Orange Cassidy do his thing. Keep him relevant because he's selling tons of merch, and give Silver a bonus for being so entertaining to everybody lately. I will say this. John Silver is a little ball of muscle. That man is incredibly strong.
Yeah, he did that one-handed press slam.
One-handed gorilla press slam.
Yeah.
Oh my
crazy.
gosh. No, he's 5'4". Just to give you an idea, John Silver is 5'4", so he's 1 inch taller than I am. And he held up Orange Cassidy with one hand. Like, legit held him up with one hand. So, and some of the offensive strings that he did were a little sloppy, but, the super speed, when he gets into that, crazy mode where he starts going from knees and kicks and suplexes and intermixing all of it, it's really fun to watch. Cassidy's really fun to watch. This didn't need to be a pay-per-view match. This is one of those matches that they could have put on standard Dynamite, and it wouldn't have hurt the show. It may have even helped it by making it a little less long. But it was cool to see both of these guys get a pay-per-view slot.
Yeah, it was a piss break match. I'd rather have a piss break match. I thought that if I was going to take a match off of this, it would have been Darby and Cody.
Interesting.
I probably would have taken Darby and Cody off. I think that you can have the TNT title as a quote-unquote TV title.
Agreed.
Okay, and to kind of differentiate a little bit more,
TNT,
so that you don't have two big, massive. Like I said before, distinguish the singles divisions. Do they both need to be defended because they both need time in the pay per view? Makes them longer, blah blah.
Yeah.
So
I could see that.
So then, I'll take a nice, breezy, funny match. I just feel like if this is what you're gonna do with Orange Cassidy, don't make him beat Jericho.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't make a lot of sense. That
Jericho is awesome, and he's giving, and I bet you it was Jericho's idea to put him over. But come on, you do not go from beating Chris Jericho to fighting John Silver.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I don't. I mean, he had 2 amazing matches with Cody on Dynamite, which lends more credence to the whole Darby should have fought Cody on Dynamite. Is that both of Cassidy's chances were on Dynamite, and they were really good matches. Right. Really good main event matches. I don't know. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, both of these 2 matches, technically, for different reasons, didn't have to be on this pay-per-view card, but yeah.
So yeah, we're okay. I think you guys started.
That was an okay match. By the way, why does Trent have a question mark on his name?
Because he's not allowed to call himself Trent Beretta.
Right.
Well, they're just calling him Trent, right?
Well, yes, but Trent, his partner has 2 names. It's Chuck Taylor and Trent. It's one of the weird best friends things that exists, I'm sure.
Okay.
I think it also has to do with when he was trying to pick out his name on the independents, he didn't know what it was. And so it was just Trent ? Is what he wrote on his water bottle because he wasn't sure about it. And he just stuck with him. I think I remember that from their unrestricted podcast now that I mention that.
Okay. I think I'm kind of behind on my podcast here. I subscribe to maybe 60 of them, and I think I actively listen to maybe 4.
Right. Yep.
But all right, going on to Cody and Darby. And I could see, this is this could have been on Dynamite, defend the TNT title on TNT rather than a pay-per-view. I am so glad that Darby won. I mean, this is Cody and Darby Part 4.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of these rumors about Sting was going to come and make an appearance and maybe do, because they were kind of.
So we could have another overbooked Cody match?
Yeah.
Because you always had, for the past month, you always see the Darby up in the rafters like Sting would do. But no Sting this time.
No.
But yeah, I like this match, and I'm very happy that Darby is the TNT champ.
Walking into this, I thought Darby has to win this match. Otherwise, it's absolutely ridiculous that Cody has buried him this hard after they brought him in with a time limit draw. Like, Darby has to win this match.
Right.
Or it's WWE booking, and somebody in the back actually hates Darby, and that's not just storyline.
Mm-hmm.
But no, Darby winning was the right call. It was a fine match. There were a lot of callbacks to their previous matches. The thing that was there for me above and beyond everything, like Darby winning the championship was great. Cody being announced as Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, he finally got his name
at the very beginning of the match was like, well, Cody got what he needed out of this moment. Mm-hmm. And the way Justin Roberts did it, like almost whispering the rest of Cody's big, long list of names, the Prince of Pro Wrestling, the American Nightmare, Cody, and then he screamed Rhodes.
Yeah.
And the crowd, bless their hearts, tried as best as they could to scream Cody effing Rhodes as loud as they could. It was audible, but like their limited capacity, so there's only so much they could do in an outdoor arena. But like that moment for me was like, okay, that felt good. Now I hope he loses.
So, what do you think, Jace?
I don't mind him. I don't mind him as a wrestler. I didn't like his run. I don't want him to be champion. Like, he needed to establish the TNT title great, like Jericho did, and then just like drop it and then move on. And I thought that's what was going to happen with Brody, where like he drops it to Brody and then he has the rematch and then Brody kicks his butt and then moves on. And he could just be that giving guy that just like has like Jericho is. He can just play the Jericho role, but he's at the top of the card and he's doing all this again. I love that you said overbooked crap. Not just his matches, just his whole everything. His entourage is overbooked and the promo is just. Ugh.
He has until Kenny debuted this new ridiculous, we're gonna recite facts about him before the match thing. Cody had the longest intro in all of AEW. Period. Longer than any other wrestler. He's the goddamn Undertaker of AEW. when the tones for his announcement or his entrance starts, you could go to the bathroom and come back before he's
still approaching the ring.
He's still coming.
With Arn Anderson and Brandy and Dustin and QT and all of the Gun Club and Big Shotty Lee Johnson and a dog and some alpaca they found out back in Jacksonville, and it's kind of ridiculous. I'm glad they're not bringing Pharaoh out anymore after the whole pyro scare. But do you really need 6 people to take the place of coming out to the ring with your dog, dude?
It was a fine match, but it was a match. It was a night full of great wrestling, and I think the pay-per-view went 5 hours.
Yeah.
Something like that. That's too long. It's too long. And there were 3 other 30-minute matches on there. They could have just put it on Dynamite. So I don't. It's a fine match, but I have to grade it down because of just context and placement and all that. So I'm with you though. I'm happy Darby won. I want to see what he does with it. I want to see Brody just smash into bits.
Yeah. I want to see that too. I have a feeling we're gonna have to deal with the whole Cage Starks nonsense.
That's the one thing I didn't care for is I think they could have waited for the whole Taz interrupting and the Cage and Starks. I think they could have saved that for Wednesday as well.
Also, Cody starts fighting. Where are the 16 people that he came out to the ring with to come and help him and Darby against Team Taz? Not a single one of them. Instead,
they're all in the back filming promos.
Yeah, after that segment, we cut to QT and Dustin filming a promo. So like, way to help you, boy. But damn, like, where were you guys? Like, I'm out there getting my ass kicked by a machine, and you're nowhere to be found. Yeah, the Taz thing is very weird, and like, they've given Taz legitimate things to bitch about. Starks has a really good record, but he lost to Darby. Cage is number 1 ranking in the rankings right now, but he's not on the pay-per-view card. Like, they've done a good job of giving Taz legitimate storyline things to bitch about, but at this point, I don't really care. Like, What has Cage done? I care about Starks, actually. But, like, Cage hasn't done anything since he lost to Moxley, so...
Right. He's compiled that number 1 ranking on Dark, and who gives a shit about that?
Yeah. All right, moving on to Nakaru Shida and Nyla Rose. Part 2? I the more I'm seeing of Shida, the more I'm loving her. My goodness.
I thought this match fell apart at the end. Like they just I don't know. Like there was something wrong. Like they started off, they were good. It was good, kind of whatever. They're the usual match they wrestle, right? Like he's doing the thing, and then it goes outside, and Vicky gets involved, and then like once after the bump, where Nyla, and it was Nyla, Shida pushed Nyla into Vicky, like something like that. After that, I just felt like they were just telegraphing their spots, telegraphing. Oh, I'm going to hit you with a knee now. You ready for the knee? Oh, here comes the knee now. And I just didn't feel like they were wrestling anymore. Like the end just like fell apart completely. So it just kind of totally took me out of what was going on.
Well, it seemed like, I don't know if it was selling or it seemed like Shida may have actually been having leg problems.
Right.
Like, with the kendo stick and all of the other, like, various offense, like, to be fair, like, Britt Baker broke her leg when Nyla Rose landed on it. That's not Nyla's fault, but, like, there is some element of Nyla is a larger competitor, and so you don't know necessarily what's going to happen compared to other spots. Like, I couldn't tell if she was just selling it really, really heavily or what. I mean, I think it was just selling because she was still able to do, like, Falcon arrows and stuff and everything. But I think, like, the selling made it look really, like, stutter steppy. You're right. Like, it was like stop, start. Like, okay, red light, we're setting up for this move. Green light, go. Move hits.
Yeah, that's
red light, setting up for this move. Green light, go. And I mean, I'm happy Shida won. I feel kind of bad for Nyla. Like, I don't know what they're going to do with Nyla now. Like, this whole, like, thing at the end with Vicky slapping her across the face and everything. And, like, I expect we'll see Nyla destroy some more people. But much like with, like, Lance Archer or Cage or other big people that have, they get to the top as this big monster. They get destroyed by the babyface. And then now what? Right. Does Nyla just go destroy the rest of the division again? Like, literally again? Like, I don't know what Nyla does now. The last thing I want to say is Nyla Rose's Mega Man-inspired gear was absolutely tight. That was fantastic. I loved it.
Well, she's been on Dark, and I think that was the thing. And Tony actually mentioned this. Tony Khan mentioned this in Scrum, where, like, they mentioned how, like, Nyla said she wouldn't wrestle until she got the title match. They gave her a title match. They announced it on Dark, and they didn't really play that story up. Yeah. And Tony Khan's like, well, yeah, I watch Dark. I need to remember that not everybody watches Dark.
Yeah, only about half of the audience does. And like they didn't even like replay it on Dynamite. Like, even if it had been shown originally on Dark, just Nyla going on a strike where she's not going to wrestle anybody until she gets Shida.
But that's the answer. The answer, she goes back to Dark.
Yeah, pretty much.
Where there's like 100 matches.
They're getting like 2 hours worth of matches, and then they did like 2 Darks. Last week?
This week, they did one Tuesday and then another one Friday. They do that every pay-per-view.
Wow. All right, on to the Bucks and FTR. Now this was my match of the night. Okay. And just all the. The Bucks. I'm not familiar with what their personas were back in Ring of Honor or wherever they were before. But
EWG, New Japan, Impact, where weren't they before?
yeah, but the fact that the past month or so they've becoming more of a dicks and more heels and stuff. So and I mean that I could talk about another hour of all the high spots and callbacks to other tag teams that they did in here. But yeah, my main problem is, I guess, like, all right, FTR is all about, okay, we're gonna do traditional tag team wrestling. But I think by the no flips and jumps and stuff like that. And what the hell does one of them do? What was the one that lost the match? What does he do? He gets up on the rope and he does the flip. The one thing they said that they didn't like about tag teams.
Well, that's part of the story. Like they couldn't beat the Bucks, and so like he's like, okay, I'm going to do this crazy thing to try to take him out, and he can do it. Like that's the thing. Like he said before, like I can do 450s. It looked great. He just didn't land it. So it was part of the story that like they kind of lost his mind, tried to do a move out of the pocketbook to beat them because they weren't beating the other way. Like there were so many, and this is my favorite part of the match. It was a really good match. Again, a little too long. They could have shaved down like 5 or 7 minutes. Don't go outside. But like Heart Attack.
Yep.
What else? The DIY spot.
Yeah, the DIY spot popped me because
Hardy
I was not
Boys.
expecting it.
Yeah, the Hardy Boys, the Swanton, the Twisted Fate into Swanton, like they were so.
Yeah,
like,
they did a 3D. Hardy Boys did
3D.
the 3D, the Twisted Fate into the Swanton. Then there was the Heart Attack, and what was the other one that they did? There was
Steiner. I think there was the Steiner Bulldog.
Yeah, the Steiner Bulldog one off the top rope.
Right.
Yep.
And so like I got the sense that like these two guys love tag team wrestling.
Yep.
And like it just made me smile. Like the whole thing made me smile. And like the story with Dax and the hand and just like the little and like Cash is I just like I feel like everybody played their role. Like I like the Bucks in the lead up because I think Matt is a shitty actor, like a shitty.
Agreed.
Shitty,
he is terrible.
Shitty, and he's an EVP, so no one's gonna tell him any different. So like, I just don't think that is the build was good, but once we got in the ring and these guys just love their tag team wrestling, it was awesome.
Yeah,
I liked the match a lot. I feel like the stipulation hurt it because it made it much more obvious as to who was going to win. Because they aren't going to have all the EVPs not able to challenge for belts.
Okay, that's fair.
And, like, Tully being barred from ringside was an interesting wrinkle that they added, again, at the last minute. Like, that was kind of unexpected. And, of course, that's going to be one of the reasons that the Revival FTR are going to be able to push for rematches and all of that good stuff is, like, you beat us when our manager wasn't at ringside, et cetera, et cetera. I enjoyed the match. I agree. I felt it was a little bit too long. And I know what they were trying to do with Cash's 450 and everything. I liked I've got an injured hand, I've got an injured foot spots. Yeah. Even the one where Matt super kicks his hand. Yeah. And they end up both hurting each other. That was pretty good. No, the flip costing them the match, like an unshod super kick to the face, kind of was a little bit like less for me, but like it had a lot of good moments. It had a lot of good callback things. Like it was an homage to tag team wrestling. Yeah, is really what it was. Here's a whole bunch of people who love tag team wrestling, like playing the favorites
and who are really good. And who are
love it.
Really good. Like, I mean, the execution of this match was so, like, off the women, and like there was no slip ups. And even when they did kind of like mess up a little bit, they incorporated into, what they were doing.
Yeah, from that point forward, this was the match that we were always going to have.
Right. And this it was an awesome match. It's not their last. I really hope, my only criticism is that I thought it was too long, but whatever.
So the only reason this wasn't my match of the night is because I liked the Hangman Kenny Bucks match earlier in the year more. And I had really, really high hopes for this match. This match was not a bad match. I don't want to make it sound Like, I was hoping for like the most sublime tag team match I have ever seen, and
Not
I think
the first one. That you never get that for the first one. You never think of every okay. So Savage Steamboat, I've been thinking about it a lot. Because it was 15 minutes.
yeah,
and they managed to get a story in 15 minutes, as opposed to all this crap, which is plus 20.
yeah,
And
28.
it wasn't the first match. Like they'd wrestled and they wrestled on house shows the whole time, and they had that match of Superstars where Macho Man took out Steamboat in the first place. So like there was a build up, and like an in-ring build up. It wasn't just like a bunch of skits.
Right.
So like you had Kenny and Paige. That was their first in-ring match in like AEW, and then this match was the first in-ring match in AEW, and then you need to tell the story in the ring. So that's why you need to pay this stuff off. So it didn't need to be the big match. That is still to come.
Agreed. I just think they could have. It could have been a shorter match that was higher impact for me. My expectations leading into it made me like it less than I probably should, and I should probably go back and watch it again. But like I've at this point watched the Bucks versus Kenny and Hangman match 5 times, and that match is just unbelievable. Like it's everything I want out of a tag team wrestling match. So,
and they're capable of better. Like I think that you can kind of leave this off and say, you know what, the next one's going to be even better.
The next one will be better, and then the next one will be better. It'll be like the Bucks and the Lucha Bros, where it just keeps escalating, and that's what I want out of it anyway. So,
so good stuff, man. No, it was really good.
I really enjoyed. So then we get into the cinematic match of the deletion. I think. Yeah, do you think they were trying to make up for what happened at All In and just all the stuff that they had planned for All In? Yep. They incorporated somehow into this one.
100% yes. I think Matt Hardy needed to have one of these cinematic matches regardless, because it's what he's known for, and he has yet to really do it. Like, you could sort of count Stadium Stampede, but that's not a Matt Hardy.
That wasn't him.
Deletion match.
Right.
He needed to have one of these, and after the last pay-per-view and how bad that went, this was a very good choice. If they wanted to continue, and like they even reference it in there, like, is this feud just cursed?
Yeah,
like they even tweak their own noses at it, because like it really has felt that way. Every time they've tried to get this story going, it's died for one reason or another.
Right.
And
this had some surprises. This was we had a superhero and we had a vampire.
Yes.
So, what do you think of those appearances?
I have to admit, seeing Santana and Ortiz fanging and banging with Gangrel was not something I expected on my Saturday night, but I was all about it. I really enjoyed that, and it didn't like take away from the main action of the match. Like, even when they were talking about it, it was like 2 matches were going on at once. There was the actual match, and then there was the match of people trying to interfere in the match. And I really loved Hurricane. I thought he was really, really well used in this. Like, whether he was a hostage or a superhero saving things in the nick of time, or the mild-mannered reporter cutting an interview in the middle of the match. Like, I felt like when they threw him back in the Lake of Reincarnation, he should have come back as 3 Count or Sugar Shane Helms.
Well, that
just
was
to seal the deal. But
that was a previous. They'd gone.
Yeah, I know they did that in the
at Impact.
The Impact one, the same one where they joke about burying people with the golden shovel. But yeah, like, it had a lot of again inside jokes and homages, and it had some absolutely weird stuff, like starting it off with Sammy running a golf cart over one of poor Maxwell's cars, and then Matt rolls up in a monster truck and crushes the golf cart, gets out, and is like, and that is a squash.
It's like, there's always a bigger fish, or there's always a bigger truck.
Well, like, I think Matt thought he'd killed Sammy right then and there, and the match was over. Like, that's a squash match. Like, that's the entire match. That's all you get. Had they ended it there, I probably would have died laughing. But instead, they continued from there, and they did all the crazy Hardy compound crap. Senor Benjamin showed up. I think the finale of the match, long term, isn't going to hurt Sammy.
No, not
Because
at all.
Sammy is like the Kenny on South Park. He gets killed every episode and then
Yeah.
he's back.
Yeah.
But I was really hoping Sammy would come out of this feud better than hauled off in the garbage bin after being concertoed on concrete.
I don't think it matters. Like I think
I don't think it matters long
I
term.
think they gave Hardy the win because he's Hardy, and like I think they have some plans for him and respect and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Sammy is not going to be hurt by this at all.
No.
I think people recognize that the cursedness of the feud is not due to Sammy; it's due to Hardy.
Yeah.
There's kind of like being in the wrong place at the wrong time, making the wrong calls with the kind of matches they had. Like I think it was just like a Hardy thing.
Yeah.
And so, like, I mean, do we like the match? I thought it was good, but too long. Like they didn't need a Santana Ortiz versus Private Party match to burst out right in the middle of the thing. Like they're wrestling a match, and they even said so. Like, on the commentary, they're like, "Oh, more technical wrestling has appeared than you would think in a match like this." And they're like, "Why am I seeing this? Like, they should be hitting each other with turtles or whatever."
I think they just wanted to get Santana Ortiz and Private Party on the card. But yeah,
they could have done that by having them hit each other with shovels. Like, I mean, why are they wrestling on match?
Where was the canoe? Why was the canoe not around?
All these things.
But yeah, there's. I will say this: how impressive is it that Matt Hardy has now had cinematic matches like this in Impact, Ring of Honor, WWE, and AEW?
It's amazing. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact that it keeps working no matter where they film it.
I think this was the weakest of them, though. I think this was the weakest of the cinematic matches. It wasn't bad, and I think there were some people that didn't like it because it was so freaking long. In fact, there was some boring chants in the audience. You guys didn't hear those.
Yeah.
But it was just because the tag match in the middle of it didn't make sense, and then them in the just wrestling in the dome of whatever it is, the dome of isolation.
Whatever
the hell it is. It was fine. I don't know that it blew the doors off anything.
Right.
Yeah. Well, but where else are you going to see two people fight but with fireworks and shoot fireworks at each other?
I'm really hoping this is seriously the end of this, though. I do not want any more Sammy Guevara, Matt Hardy matches at all.
I think they intended the all-out match to be the blow-off.
Yeah.
And they gave this as a favor to Hardy to kind of make up as a makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way that this is going to go on. I don't think there's any way.
God, I hope not. Sammy needs to do other things. Hardy needs to do other things.
Well, Sammy now has MJF to feud with.
Yeah, now has MJF to deal with.
I think that's they've served it right up on a platter. So go ahead and fight MJF.
Yeah. So and that leads us into the next match of MJF versus Jericho. If MJF wins, he is given an opportunity to join the Inner Circle. What do you? I mean, what do you think is gonna? I think MJF is gonna try to destroy the Inner Circle from inside. Because he's just. I mean, it's. We already.
I think he's gonna try to take it over.
Yeah, and boot Jericho out, or because they're already establishing that Wardlow and Peg are just. They're going to be coming to blows sooner or later.
And Wardlow doesn't really like MJF anymore at this point. He's just there because MJF literally pays his salary.
Right.
They've done a great job of establishing that Wardlow is just the heavy, quite literally. He's not MJF's friend. It'll be interesting to see how this shakes out. I think we'll probably see the Inner Circle implode. And there are some guys I think that will be really good for.
Right. Because Jericho's a face.
Yeah.
He's a total face. Like, the Inner Circle's a heel faction, Jericho's a total face.
Yeah.
And Sammy wrestled that tag match as a face, too, because he's doing the 450s and running around. So I think they're setting up, they're using the MJF thing to kind of change what the Inner Circle is all about, which I'm afraid for Santana Ortiz because they haven't popped.
Right.
They haven't really distinguished themselves, and I'm a huge fan of theirs. So I'm afraid for them.
Same.
but I think I see the changing of the inner circle like on the horizon. If it's going to be MJF taking it over, if it's just going to be him destroying it, I'm not sure. But that's they put that in there for that.
Yeah. So what do you think about this match?
I was just going to say Santana and Ortiz had that amazing match with the best friends in the parking lot brawl, and every good match they've been in, they've lost. Like, they need to get some heat back, and who knows, maybe following MJF and his evil crusade will be what lets them do that. I don't know. As far as this match, it was a heel versus a heel.
But Jericho pulled out the top rope Frankenstein. Are you serious?
Jericho wrestled as a babyface, but like the whole general attitude was heel versus heel. They're gonna, try to out dirty trick each other, and obviously the more heely heel was successful.
Yeah, towards the end that kind of emerged. But like as the actual match was, it was a basic heel match. Like it was the thing that they knew that there was a better match later. So they didn't give you too much. So they didn't give you too much. It was fine. They followed the deletion match, so it's like you can't have like a huge blow off thing following that mess. So like, okay.
And again, this wasn't a blood feud. Like these guys don't hate each other yet. And there was no real reason.
It's a perfect setup. It was great.
And it's another one of those like. So when I did my predictions for this, I got all but 2 of the match winners correct, because it feels like a lot of the storylines were kind of predictable and where they were going. But I'm not dissatisfied with that either, because MJF needed to win this in order for the story momentum to continue.
Yeah.
So, like, him winning didn't make me upset, and the match was entertaining. So, that's the best that I can ask for. Like, usually with the other federation, I get the opposite. The match isn't entertaining, and they go for the unpredictable, unsatisfying story result that just halts all momentum. So in this case, like, I knew MJF was going to win, but I was entertained. It was a good match.
It was. They left a lot on the table. They have a better match in them, and they know it. And they're both have that old school mentality of like, okay, yes, we don't have to do every 450 splash. We could tell a long-term story, and it's a good setup. I was perfect.
I don't know if they had better mics this time or what, but there were a few moments where I heard Jericho calling spots in the ring. But well.
What do you guys think? What did you guys think of the dinner debonair or whatever the hell they called that?
Loved it. It was great.
I absolutely loved it as well. I thought it was an incredible use of their talents because both of them can sing, both of them can dance. Like, they didn't have to like dub that or hire some fake vocalist or whatever. They just went and they actually did that performance. And
that was great. It was great.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastically done because it's such a like over the top, ridiculous, full of self narcissistic heel thing to do.
Haters and the way they hate, let them hate.
Yeah, and the way they changed the lyrics to the song was perfect. No, I thought that was great, and it was great lead into this whole scenario. Like, I really liked it, and I really I like where this is going. It's just not there yet. So we'll see what happens by the time Revolution comes around in February, whether Jericho even has a faction anymore.
Yeah. And that's what I really like about AEW is more often than not, they're really good at telling stories over a pretty good, significant time frame. They don't rush it or they don't do it half-ass and then just drop it.
Unless it's Moxley. Moxley's story's been half-assed all the time.
I think it helps that they have fewer pay-per-views, so they aren't trying to get something in by the next month. Yeah. So they aren't rushed on telling their stories. And I think a lot of the Moxley stories end up getting told quickly because it's just been like, I'm supposed to wrestle Cage. Oh, he has COVID. We'll do that in 2 weeks. I'm supposed to wrestle Archer. Oh, wait, he has COVID. We'll do that in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like,
that goes into the main match is Moxley over versus Eddie Kingston. Now, up until like 2 weeks ago or so, I never knew that these guys knew each other or worked with one another and had this friendship. Now, I don't know if they fabricated that just because they were okay, or if it was legitimate.
It's legit. They've been in a lot of the same companies forever.
Moxley knows Kingston's mom and stuff like that. But yeah, actually, the only note I have about this match has never even happened in the ring. If anybody follows or doesn't follow Renee Young or whatever whatever name she's you gotta
Renee
follow
Paquette,
her.
yeah.
You gotta follow her on Twitter because she tweets out stuff.
Can I quit this match?
As she's watching John's matches. It's just
thumbtacks in your head? Really? No, it's one of the most entertaining things on Twitter is watching her commentary on his matches from the sidelines. Like, yeah, am I able to quit this match? But yeah, I thought the build for this was really good, especially considering that this was, from what I can tell, they were originally going Moxley Archer again here.
Right.
Was the plan, and then the COVID thing threw that off. They couldn't build with Archer anymore. And so they went, well, who do we have available? Well, Eddie can do it.
Yeah,
and so,
who's the guy that is saying that they didn't lose the Battle Royal?
Yeah, yeah. Who's the guy who said he never tapped out, never, quit? Like, they had a natural way to just ease that in, and both of them can do promos very well. Eddie is, like, above and beyond on promos. Like, on the segments on BTE where he just cuts a promo on a bag of Cheetos is one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen in my life. Like, dude could cut a promo on anything and make you feel it.
Right.
So it went really, really well. The promo, the final confrontation on Wednesday that they had in the ring was a really great lead up into this.
Yeah.
Video packages for this were really good. I know that, like, long-term booking, they need to be stable. They want to, like, maintain long-term storylines, and they want Moxley to stay as champion. I really wanted Kingston to win this. I really wanted Kingston to pull this one out.
Right.
And it seemed like the stipulation was one that might just work. But
this is supposed to be the year of Kenny Omega. The Bucks have said that. Like, this is the year where Kenny Omega gets his big singles push. This is the guy you saw in Japan. Now he's going to do the matches. So now there's like, okay, we need to get Kenny Omega here, and he has to be against Moxley because Kenny Omega's doing the dirtbag gimmick, and you keep that together. Yeah. When they saw what they had in Eddie Kingston and like the promos he was cutting, decent enough matches. It's not like he's a slouch in there.
Yep,
hyping up, actually making me care about the Butcher and the Blade again, which I didn't give a shit about them. But having him around, calling them family is like, okay, I'm in now. Like, they should have just dropped everything.
Yeah.
And late in this program, I want to see Moxley and Eddie Kingston's mom. I want to see it. I want to see him in the kitchen talking about it. I they should have just dropped everything and then led up to a match. And even if John Moxley gets it back, they should have given Eddie Kingston something.
I agree. I think Kingston should have won this match, and I think they could have kept that looming threat of Archer. Like, Archer's cutting promos saying that he'll go through each member of the family on the way to Kingston, and they could even give Eddie a successful title defense or not against Archer, either way. Like, they could have gotten a whole bunch of matches. Instead, like, we're going to still get Archer feuding with the family, as far as I can tell. Right. But it's not going to be for any stakes, any championship stakes. It's just going to be him trying to make his way to Eddie because Eddie ran his mouth too much about not actually losing. And, that's a fine storyline, but, like, I feel like Eddie's been fire since they dropped him into this. And I feel like the 4 weeks was too short. Yeah. They could have really done more with the interactions and building that, like Tom was saying, most of us don't know that they had a history, right? So bring in some of that history, and like the WWE does when they whenever they have like a long-term feud, it's like, here is your second grade teacher and here is your whatever. Like, they could have done all that stuff. I love that stuff, and then you pay it off, and then you have a couple of matches where they trade the title back and forth. Like, they could have just erased everything, and Kenny Omega would have been fine. Yeah, Kenny will still be there. Kenny still has the history with Moxley. Moxley, this was the most exciting feud Moxley's had.
Yeah, it's been pretty flat since.
Yeah, and it was like 4 weeks of build. And can you imagine? Like, they didn't even have to make Moxley quit. Have Moxley carted out in an ambulance because he refuses to say I quit. Kingston declares himself the champion, but technically the match never really ended. Like, there's no, and they can go at it again. Like,
or have
there's
Eddie,
so many.
Or have the family outside of Renee Paquette's house going like, we're gonna burn this shit down if you don't.
Yeah,
quit.
exactly. Hold Renee hostage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
something.
like quite literally, I told you I would do anything.
Yeah.
You brought up my mom. How about your dear wife? I could totally see Eddie doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Like Butcher and the Blade standing outside of John's house. Like, yeah, they absolutely could have pulled something like that. And it'd been believable. Moxley would have quit in a heartbeat. And who could have faulted him? And then when he finally got his hands on Kingston, he could, stuff him into a garbage bin.
But they had to go to Omega.
Yeah.
Because I think that, I don't know. I just would have torn the sheet up and just gave it to him. Moxley, the way, I think it's the booking. Mm-hmm. I'm still not into it. Like, he went through Cage, who cares? He went through Brody Lee, that was a setup thing, who cares? He went through Archer, who cares? And like, he just feels like this entity that's just like floating above the show. Mm-hmm. He doesn't feel like a part of the show. Like, he's the one thing that feuding with Kenny was doing, like, at least he'll start interacting with the Bucks and real roster members. He's just kind of like floating above there. He takes 4 weeks, he beats you. He takes 4 weeks, he beats you, and he moves on.
I hesitate to say this, but he's Lesnaring it.
No.
He shows up, kicks someone's ass at a pay-per-view in a big fight, and then we see him via satellite the rest of the time, or maybe he shows up and wrestles one of that guy's flunkies.
Well, he had a tag match with Darby. Like, I remember it was Moxley and Darby and Will Hobbs, like a 6-man or whatever it was. So like it has sunk in, but then it just like disappeared again, and it's like I just feel like I'm not like Moxley's not there for me. Mm-hmm. And that's another reason why I would have just like blown everything up and just given Eddie Kingston a run.
And this recently, he really hasn't been doing. I could be wrong because I haven't watched any of it, but if it did happen, but he hasn't really been doing anything over in Japan. He's like,
he's not doing it.
Yeah,
Japan is doing their thing, but he's not involved as of yet, and that's one of the things.
He's still their champion. I think he still has.
Yeah, he's still the U.S. champion. He is.
Yeah,
that's one. And they have somebody now. Kenta specifically has a briefcase to fight the U.S. champion whenever that can happen. The reason that's weird is because Kenta is in the U.S. Like, he's wrestling for the New Japan Strong stuff, which is in L.A. So they could have that match, but it can't be televised if it's done on U.S. soil because of Moxley's contract. So there's all sorts of weird stuff around that. But what I was honestly expecting was Kingston wins, Mox disappears, goes to Japan, like quarantines, goes to Japan, drops the U.S. title to Japan to fulfill all of that commitment, and then comes back, takes the belt off of Kingston, and then runs into a brick wall named Kenny Omega. Like,
I think that would have been great.
And that's how I personally would have booked it. And I got this match wrong in my predictions because that's what I wanted to see, even though I knew that wasn't what we were going to get. So
one of the high spots on this match, I thought, was the introduction of the alcohol, rubbing alcohol.
Oh, the rubbing alcohol.
That
spot.
was,
oh my god,
that was new. I thought, okay, they haven't
and I
done this
bet that
before.
was real. Like, there's no way they're gonna gimmick that. They're like, just use real rubbing alcohol.
Yeah, and anyone who's ever had rubbing alcohol in a cut.
Oh, yeah.
Just imagining rubbing alcohol in a back that's just been run into
littered
some
with tacks.
Scalded dog. Like, I cannot imagine how bad that must have hurt. And like, it was so much simpler. That's one of the things I will say about this. Like, last year's Full Gear was the lights out match with Moxley and Omega.
Yeah, that was like,
and there were all these contrived weird
contraptions
spots
and stuff.
Yeah, they built like big machines and all sorts
like
of random...
who looks at a thing of plywood and says, let me layer on 5 rows of barbed wire on this plywood.
I mean, why not?
That doesn't occur in like the wild.
But or the gigantic contraption made of barbed wire. that they suplexed themselves into. Like,
unbelievable.
it was brutal, but like this one felt brutal, but was done in a clever way rather than a let's, reenact Saw kind of way. It was, we're not going to build any big machines, but, this rubbing alcohol spot is going to make literally everybody gasp.
Yeah.
Because nobody interested in that nonsense.
Right.
They used what was around the ring, like standard hardcore type stuff. This match actually was in the ring more than any other Moxley title defense, which is hilarious to me. With the amount of weapons in it. There was more time spent in the ring than outside the ring, which is a very weird thing for Moxley.
That's the other thing I am not liking about Moxley. I'm tired of the matches. I'm tired of.
Can we just have a wrestling match? Yeah.
Can we just have a wrestling match, please? Can we just? And that's what Kenny's gonna do. Like that was the storytelling of like he came out, he looked at the attack. I'm like, okay, and he threw the weight attack. He's like, we're not using this for my fight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm looking forward to just which is weird to say, but like because you want the big thing, but like I'm tired of Moxley hardcore matches.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he needs to do something else to take it to the next level.
Yeah, like since his match against Chris Jericho where he won the belt, everyone has been some variant of street fight,
falls count anywhere,
hardcore, I quit. And yes, it makes sense that the champion would want to play to his strengths, but you would feel like at some point somebody would step in and say, okay, like let's do, something else. So yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed this match. I didn't like the winner, but not because I don't like Moxley. I
honestly think it's the booking and the structure of the storytelling. Like the Bucks have more multi-segment dynamites than Moxley has ever had.
Yeah.
And like that's what you need as a champion. We grew up with the Attitude Era. Like Stone Cold would show up at the beginning. You'd see him kick ass 7 times. He'd be on the show 6-7 times.
Yeah, like they'd keep cutting to him.
They keep cutting to him like when Stone Cold and Booker T had that grocery thing.
Yeah,
it was the whole freaking show.
Yeah.
So they've never done that on Moxley. Never. He has one segment.
Yeah.
So it's just these little ways in which the booking hasn't made him feel like a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, the wrong guy won. To me, I agree with you. And I'm looking forward to Kenny Omega just taking it. I'm looking forward to just him ending the reign.
Yep. I don't see it going any other way. I think anything else, they try to get too clever with it, and it's just going to make people more upset. It just needs to be Kenny going after him like a heat-seeking missile.
Do you think Kenny's going to be full-fledged cleaner by Revolution?
Oh yeah, he's going full-fledged heel.
He'll be full-fledged heel. I don't know that he's going to be the cleaner. I think that's one of the things I think he's going to use some of the trappings of the past, but I think he needs a different thing. He needs to pull a Jericho and reinvent himself, not just rehash himself. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what I'm hoping they're going to do. He's already got the start of this new entrance thing with the girls with the brooms and taunting his opponents with it and everything. He's already started to do Healy things, and he's going to be a full-on heel because they're not going to turn Moxley. So that's what we're going to get, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be really good. It has to be there's a part of me that feels like it has to happen before Revolution, though. But I don't know.
That match?
Yeah, I don't know what they do. It has to be a pay-per-view, though, and that's really the only option. So, yeah, that's 4 months away. So we've got 4 months to build to that, if that's when they're going to do it. So,
all right. So if we haven't established, Jason, I think you're the only one that hasn't said what your match at night was, but mine was the Bucks and FTR. Tony's, yours was Omega Hangman. What about you, Jason?
I'm gonna go Omega Hangman. Perfect length, really good storytelling. I think I love this pay per view. Okay, love is a strong word. I like the pay per view more. It did need to be 5 hours. They could have cut it down to 3. Darby Cody could have been out of there. They could have shortened a lot of the match lengths. Deletion should have been shorter. FTR should have been shorter. And just give me, like, the WWE pay-per-views have been that long. Like, they've been under 3 hours because they just cut the fat.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't need to see the fucking retribution on the pay-per-view. They suck. So, like, you know, so I don't need to see John Silver on my pay-per-view. Sorry.
It's nice for John Silver, but it's not, like...
Yeah.
It doesn't do much to enhance the actual show. Like, I like to see new people on the pay-per-view, and if you look at all of the matches, not counting the buy-in or that one, pretty much everybody who was on this has been on a pay-per-views, and other than Eddie, has been on a pay-per-view since the promotion
and Eddie
started.
could have been the guy. Eddie could have been like the new guy coming in there. This is how you do it. If you want to get over, then get your personality over, get your character over, and then you know, because everybody there can wrestle.
Yeah, you're not going to differentiate yourself by being a wrestler. Like, John Silver did a one-handed gorilla press slam.
Right.
And we're currently talking about maybe that match didn't need to be on the card. Like, it's not wrestling that's going to differentiate you in this promotion. So,
but no, I felt much better. I also watched it at 1.5 speed, so I didn't even feel the 5 hours. I watch them on Sunday morning, so I'm like, this is too long. Anyway, guys,
that seems to be the common thing is the timing and the length. But it was better than All Out or All In or whatever the last one was.
Out in and out.
In and out, yeah.
Any outie.
Yeah, I'll probably give this one like a B.
Yeah.
I mean, B plus.
B plus, A minus. It's definitely better than the last one. I liked Revolution better than this one, but it's also kind of unfair to compare them because Revolution still had fans.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Well, Tony, Jason, thank you so much. Last pay-per-view of 2020, and yeah.
That's all, folks.
That's all, folks. We're out of here.